Hi guys, it's already been more than a week since Watches and Wonders 2024 ended. We are slowly recovering from a pretty intense week and a very intense period before that, because we prepared more than 100 articles to be published on the website, 20 videos to be published on YouTube and on the website. We're still digesting the amount of information that we got throughout the week. And I thought it would be fun to sit down with Robin and to talk about what we saw last week.
Absolutely.
The week before, actually. Last week was recovery.
And we needed it.
Very
like you
much
said.
so.
It was intense, and it was intense, yeah.
What did you like best, or what is the biggest takeaway from the entire fair?
Well, for me, it's a bit twofold, really, because on one end, I see a lot of innovation and a lot of technicality boundaries being pushed, which I love. But on the other hand, a lot of watches were like existing collections, but with a different dial color and a different material for the case, maybe. And for some brands, I was a bit like, it's nice, but I was excited to see a bit more than that.
You're not blown away,
no,
to put it like that.
No, by the majority of the watches, no. There are some very beautiful things, but stuff we know. So, and if you look at the technical side of things, yeah, there's a few insane records being beaten. And I know you're going to talk about that. You want to talk about that, so I'll leave that to you, but we'll get to that in a bit.
Of course.
Bringing it back to you, what did you think of the entire fair?
Well, I think, funny enough, I thought the mood was pretty positive. If you look at how the watch market was end of last year, beginning of this year, I was thinking the mood would not be as positive as it felt while walking there.
Yeah, I agree with that, yeah.
So altogether, I thought it was a pretty pleasant fair. Mood was good, everyone was happy. And for me, you know, the amount of spectacular record-breaking watches really did something. I love those technicalities, and that really put a smile on my face.
Exactly. Yeah. Plus, if you look at the entire organization of the fair, it's bigger than ever, more brands than ever, which means more watches than ever, so there's more to choose from. Stuff we might not have seen yet live, but we'll come to that. It's opening up more, it feels like, again. The Asian market is, of course, fully represented again.
Yes.
It was a good show.
It was a good one, indeed. And what was, for instance, your favorite watch of the show? Is that possible to name just one?
No, one is impossible. I've tried to narrow it down because I, of course, know what we're going to talk about now, and this is a topic that always comes up. But for me, I have a sort of a top three, which was surprising to find out, because I'm usually more towards the technical side, more sporty or racing-inspired watchmaking, which I love. I have a Monaco, for instance, so yeah. But this time it was three very classy, more dressy watches that stood out to me. First one was the Parmigiani Ferrier Toric, the new one, in platinum. That combination of the material, but also the grayish, greenish dial, and the finishing, and the gold movement, it's absolutely spot on. And I think Guido is doing a very good job with the brand, and I love that the Toric is now back in the collection. Because I believe it's the collection that started the brand with.
Exactly.
If I'm correct. Another one which I really liked is the Grand Seiko birch bark, the hand-wound one in titanium, the SLGW 003, if I'm correct.
Chapeau. I never remember the names.
I love that after, I believe, 50 years that they now have a fully mechanical hand-wound movement again.
High beat.
High beat, exactly. Yeah. Slimmer, power reserve on the back. And it looks good, it feels good on the wrist. And the benefit of titanium, which doesn't look like titanium, by the way. It looks like steel in terms of the finishing, but the comfort is spot on to me. I think the gold is a bit expensive, so I'd go for the titanium in this case. And the third one is the Laurent Ferrier. The classic moon annual calendar is just a thing of beauty.
It's gorgeous again.
It's wonderful. The shape, the sizes, the proportion of the entire watch on the wrist, in the hand, the finishing of the movement is beyond my comprehension, at least. I just love it, and yeah, it's a total package.
I can totally echo on that.
Yeah,
it's gorgeous,
total package,
absolutely.
Yeah. Out of my budget, sadly, but
we see many watches that are out of our budgets.
Oh yes.
But then again, you know, there's so much to enjoy.
And what were your highlights? Because now you know my classy selection of three, but for you?
It's impossible to narrow it down to three, I'm afraid. Because,
whole list.
I mean, the IWC Perpetual, Eternal Calendar, to me that was both on design evolution and as well as technical level, was very, very beautiful. Definitely one of the winners of the show. One that I didn't see myself, actually. I didn't visit Cartier, the rest of the team did, but the Monopusher in the Tortue case.
It's lovely. I've
It's
seen
good.
It's very lovely.
Really, but I have to see the movement and compare it to the old movement to really know what I think of it. But on first glance, I was very impressed with it. The Rolex 1908 in platinum with that ice blue guilloche dial. Wow. Sorry, but that's a good one to put next to the Toric.
I get that, I would.
Stunning.
Yeah, it looks good.
Is stunning. And price pretty moderate, I have to mention. It's roughly 30,000 euros for a Rolex with an open case back.
In platinum.
In platinum, with a gorgeous dial. So in that respect, honestly, chapeau to Rolex. The price is pretty good. Yeah. What else? Of course, Piaget, Altiplano, ultimate concept, Tourbillon.
2 millimeters thick. I can't even understand how you engineer something like that.
Brilliant. You look at it and you think, okay, I'm going to look at the movement. Where's everything?
Everything is on one single level in the movement, and it's
technical.
Honestly, if you haven't seen it, check it out. We've done a video on it. It's technically a brilliant piece.
Yeah. Same goes for the Bulgari.
Yeah.
Octo Finissimo. Ultra COSC.
Yes.
That's it, names. But again, a watch that looks so incredibly mesmerizing and like a mindfuck on the wrist, sort of. Sorry. But you're looking at it, you see depth that is not there, but it's still working movement, and it runs, I think, close to 60 hours of power reserve in that.
That's quite impressive,
And COSC certified, so that means it's a proper watch. It's not just a gimmick thing.
No, it's not a concept. They've really engineered it to be worn and to be experienced on the wrist.
And there was more. Vacheron Constantin Berkeley.
Oh yeah.
Holy moly, that was impressive.
Yeah, it's,
I love it when
it's
they
big
do
in
these
multiple
things.
ways, but it's an incredible piece of engineering. Yeah, it's 63
Chinese perpetual calendar. I mean, just that. I mean, the Chinese perpetual calendar. I think it's definitely the most complicated calendar on this planet.
Far more than our own, at least the Gregorian.
There's so much irregularity in it, and to fetch that somehow in some mechanics, spectacular. Really impressive. But there's also, for instance, something that was off-show. Bovet had a world timer that finally does adjust to the daylight saving time and can adjust for all the different daylight saving time around the globe. Spectacular, also on a very useful level as well. So people who travel a lot and who are in contact with people from around the globe, that is really a watch to consider. It's very nice.
Yeah, that's one I haven't seen in person, but I understand that by looks it's very impressive, but by practicality it's very intuitive, very simple actually.
It is super simple. You just adjust it to the sort of daylight saving time that you need. There's various. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's 4 different. Something with you.
Multiple at least.
And you can adjust it, but it will adjust exactly all the different time zones from around the globe to that.
That's very clever. Very clever.
And it's very nicely done. The Bethune came out with something purple.
Oh yeah.
DB28 XS Purple Rain. I'm not really a purple guy, but wow, it looks so incredibly good. And I love the Bethune for their completely strange, odd designs, but it really works.
Yeah, it's. I know that Brice liked that one as well, and he said the same thing. It's not something that I would initially go for, but it just works for some reason. Yeah,
it does. It really does, and also the wave pattern on the dial and everything.
That's very good.
It's super impressive. And of course, with Patek, we had a few very nice ones, especially the inline perpetual calendar.
Yeah.
I can't get it out of my
No,
head.
it's a thing of beauty. Yeah,
it's really gorgeous.
It's just the way that the window is aligned with the date, not the day of the week, then the date and the month.
Exactly, stunning.
Yeah, looks very good.
Yeah.
That's our favorite watches. But when you walk around at Watches and Wonders and you talk to people and you visit brands and everything, you often hear people mentioning watches. What were the watches that were the most talked about to you or in your eyes?
Especially the first days of the fair. I think everyone was talking about the Black Bay 58 GMT. And that bezel that looks sort of almost like a vintage bakelite bezel. It really looks very good.
It's very good.
What else? I think many people are also talking, and rightfully so, I think, about Chopard and the LUC models, especially the Qualité Ferrier and the one with that green dial. Chopard did something amazing again, really beautiful. The GMT Master 2 with the gray and black bezel.
The monochrome GMT Master 2,
the monochrome
let's
GMT.
Be honest.
Exactly. That was also mentioned quite often. What else? What did you hear?
One of the watches I heard a lot about was the yellow gold Deep Sea by Rolex.
Heavy hitter.
Not necessarily in the best way, I must admit, but it's big, it's heavy, and to me it doesn't really make much sense to create such a big dive watch with yellow gold, because it's 320 plus grams of weight.
Mechanical watches do not make much sense to
I'll give you that, but
but it's a statement piece, you know.
Oh, absolutely. You can't ignore that one. It's quite big on the wrist. It's very heavy, 320 grams, like I said. But I heard a lot of people talk about that, especially, and it was an unexpected move. Let's just put it at that.
Anything else that was a bit buzzing around?
Of course, the record-breaking watch, as we mentioned, the Piaget, the Bulgari, and the IWC. I mean, a moon phase accurate to 45 million years, and no adjustment needed until 3,999. That's just insane.
And maybe even later, but it depends on whether astronomers will decide whether the year 4000 will become a leap year or not.
It's not a mechanical limitation, but it's just that people haven't decided which way to go in the year 4000.
Okay, we have a bit of time.
It's a complicated story, and nobody's really going to experience that's alive today, but it's insane how they can do that mechanically.
Yeah, it's pretty bizarre.
Yeah, because what I found funny about that watch, deviating a little bit, is that there is a gear in that movement that rotates once every 400 years. It's ridiculous, but I love it.
I can give you a very slow moving gear if you want.
No, just the thought of that concept in a watch movement is just, I really like that.
You heard people talking about the Tag Heuer rattrapante or split seconds chronograph?
Yeah, the few people I talked to about that basically agree that it's quite pricey, if we can put it like that.
It's pretty steep for a Monaco
it's a bit
with
tough.
a beefed up movement.
Yeah, it's a bit tough. But technically, I kind of like it.
It's beautiful with titanium, full titanium movement.
It's quite something.
But it's pricey for sure. Yeah.
But I do like that Tag Heuer still likes to push the Monaco into a technical spectrum at least.
Finally again.
Yeah, because of course technique d'avant-garde. Yeah,
exactly.
That's very true in this one. And that is not only playing with the iconic lines and the iconic style of the Monaco, but also bringing something new. And the rattrapante, they haven't done that for many years, decades even. I think early 1904?
Pocket watch era.
Yeah. So it's nice to see that technology return again as well. All right, so now we've talked about the entire fair and some of the highlights of everything that we've seen, but what would you potentially buy for yourself?
Oh my goodness, that's a difficult one because I
know, that's why I'm asking.
I saw so many watches that really impressed me that I would love to own, to add to my collection. However, my pockets are not deep enough for most things that I like. So, you know,
I feel your pain.
I know, So, you know, in that respect, it's actually quite difficult. I've seen so many watches that I would just love to add to my collection, but it's completely impossible, to be honest.
Either availability or pricing.
It's mainly pricing, to be honest, But I do feel, as I said before, you know, the 1908 from Rolex is, in my opinion, relatively fairly priced for what it is. It's definitely on my short list.
Okay.
The same goes for the Rolex GMT Master 2.
The monochrome edition. Let's just keep that in. Let's keep calling it the monochrome edition.
There's been too many gorgeous watches. The IWC Eternal, definitely, but also the Perpetual calendar with the ice blue dial. But unfortunately, they made that in white gold again and not in steel, so that affects the price in a way that I don't like it that much. Although the June version of the QP in the Portuguese is also stunning, really stunning. The Laurent Ferrier is so gorgeous. Oh my goodness. The Bethune, it's maybe slightly too purple, but also outside of my budgetary possibilities. It's difficult to find something that I would say, that one. And of course, you know, there is always a Chopard LUC that the green dial I loved. The Qualité
That's on my
Ferrier
list,
I loved, but I still have that Salmon dial from last year that's on my wish list somewhere. So,
Okay.
and honestly, it ranks higher than those two. So it's difficult to pinpoint exactly what I would love to buy. Maybe it's going to be a moderate
take
year.
some time to rethink and yeah.
Yeah, but the GMT Master 2 monochrome could just happen.
Yeah, that's very nice. It's a very good watch. Yeah.
You?
Yeah. Well, for me, it's I found it a bit challenging because I usually look at like below 5, maybe 10 with a stretch and a bit of time to save up in terms of budget. And my personal feeling is that with this fair, that's becoming a very challenging category because prices move up slowly. Well, not always slowly, but sometimes faster than my budget grows with it, so unfortunately. But anyway, during the fair, I fell in love immediately with the Tudor Black Bay 58 GMT. It looks gorgeous, it wears very nice on the wrist, plus it has a Metas Master Chronometer certified movement with a true GMT function, or Flyer GMT if you want to call it like that. So the overall package to me is very good. You have the choice of a steel bracelet and a rubber strap, so there's versatility again. But I must admit that after the fair, I've also grown to like the monochrome edition of the Tudor Black Bay 41, the black and white.
Oh yes, that's
very
good as well.
It grew on me over the past week. Yeah, so either of those two I would buy in a heartbeat.
But I think you already own a Black Bay.
I do. The original one with the EDA movement,
yeah.
In black and gilt. So, but I don't see a reason why they could be together in my collection. But and my wife is eyeballing my Tudor Black Bay, so I might not.
There's always a good reason.
There's solutions everywhere. Another one that I really love, which I felt same as you think of the 1908 Perpetual. The one that I feel is very fairly priced is the Chopard LUC Green.
Just over 10K, 12,
yeah, it's
something?
11 and a bit, I believe. And okay, I said I'm looking at 10, but potentially with a bit of stretch, a bit of time, that's within reach.
And so, value for money with that one.
Yeah, micro rotor movement, in-house.
Exactly.
Gorgeous green
Super
dial.
thin again,
yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and like I said in the beginning, it surprised me because I don't tend to go for such classical pieces, but this one just ticked pretty much all boxes. Except for the fact I don't have the money right now. But it'll come. Maybe down the line. Yeah. And there are a few more here and there. I really like one of the new Grand Seikos with the green dial, the Geneva Valley. Again, it's Grand Seiko at their best. Textured dial, very impressive colors, and yeah, it just works. And the one I mentioned before, the hand wound in titanium, it's again slightly above 10, but yeah, I'd love to buy that at some point. Yeah, I'd love that.
I can imagine.
Yeah,
it's gorgeous indeed.
And other than that, the same as you, budgetary reasons restrict me of listing all other things I want to own. But yeah, it is what it is. Maybe in due time something happens and I win the lottery and can buy myself.
That might be an idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
What stood out most for you?
Yeah, I already mentioned a couple. The Laurent Ferrier I love. It's a brilliant looking piece, so I'm not going to talk about that too long. I've mentioned it already, but it's just, I would go for the one with the blue dial, by the way, in the steel case. But another one from the Indies that I really love, as soon as I saw it, was the Moser Streamliner Tourbillon Skeleton. That's just an insane piece. I've grown to love the Streamliner. At first I was like, it's a bit too funky for me in terms of shapes and everything, but on the wrist, I've had a few on the wrist for a couple of minutes, sadly, but to me it just works and the finishing is there. And what I love most perhaps is the fact that with this one, you get to see that everything is made in-house. They open up the entire movement from the front and the back, so you can see everything. And Moser makes everything, of course, including the hairspring, which is just nuts.
Brilliant. Super cool company, by the way.
Exactly.
What do you think of the Jacob Astronomia?
I like the fact that they continue to work on the development of the concept of the Astronomia. They've done so many that I've lost count how many they actually are, but every single time it's a rethink of something else, and either stylized or mechanically speaking, and this time it's mechanically speaking that they've done something else. It's the regulator display, which is constantly in motion, which is fun.
It's also visual
smaller.
Display. It's smaller,
so it's more wearable, but
it looks a little bit more discreet somehow. But technically, again, super spectacular. Love what these guys are doing on that level.
Yeah, the brand is mentioned every now and then whenever I talk to people, and visually they always carry a big impact. But there's more to it behind that. The watchmaking, craftsmanship, and the technicality behind the movements are on par with some of the biggest names in the industry.
Exactly.
And it's impressive how fast they've developed to this level of watchmaking, to me at least.
They're working with good partners, and they're doing a great job in that, definitely.
Yeah, and there's a never-ending flow of creativity coming from the brand. Okay, Frank, now we've talked about a lot of stuff that we like, and we would like to buy, and would love to own and wear and experience, and that's all very lovely, but a fair like this always gives a sense of direction to the industry. Where they're heading in, what developments we see, what trends we see coming up, etc.
Yep.
In your perspective, you've been running around this industry and all such fairs for quite a few years now. Where do you see the industry heading, and what do you see as challenges or downsides?
That's a good one, tough one as well. Well, you know, on the positive side of that, I do see that we're finally slowly moving to more smaller sizes for wristwatches. I mean, 10 years ago, everyone thought they needed to have their take on the big pilot or the Panerai. And to me, that was
the 42 was labeled as small.
That was the worst period in the watch industry. But then again, you know, we're moving back to more moderate sizing, and I think that's very good. On the other hand, the thing that's far from moderate these days is prices. And I genuinely feel that prices are completely berserk these days. You see that with many brands, by the way, also with indies who are finally really hitting it off and becoming very popular, but also their pricing seems to go up to Patek level and above, and that's sometimes pretty difficult to digest. There was a time when I always thought that Rolex was, with their 1 or 2 price increases a year, was pushing it a little bit too far, but I have to say over the past few years I had the idea that Rolex is actually the benchmark for being moderate. And
it's incremental changes and not huge steps all of a sudden with no sense of
what is improved indeed, and why so in terms of pricing, plus of course, like always with Rolex, they keep improving their watches on a technical level without shouting about it and saying, hey, we did a little thing, and they make a lot of noise about it. They don't. They're very discreet about it. I love that. But in terms of pricing, they're sort of a benchmark for me. And all of a sudden you see watches being introduced with a pretty generic movement that anyone could buy, and they're priced, you know, for instance, a chronograph that's priced above a Daytona. And I'm a bit like, difficult, you know. It's, you see that more and more, and I feel that is one of the downsides of where we're heading. So mechanical watches, the high-end mechanical watches that used to be sort of within reach of, you know, a normal person having a good job and saving up some money. It feels like it's always one of 2
one
steps
step behind.
Yeah, that.
Your budget might grow, but in the meantime, prices have gone up, so you can't get it. Yeah,
exactly that.
You have to adjust your budget, or maybe even your target watches. So.
Luckily, every year there's more millionaires on this planet who can probably afford it. In that respect, I'm happy to see what, for instance, Raymond Weil came with. What was the model called?
Yeah, the new one in the Millesime collection, the Moonface.
Looks pretty good.
It looks brilliant.
Yeah, and for that price point, you know,
Fairly
beautiful,
priced.
Good mechanical movement, very nicely made case, dial. Happy to see something very pleasantly priced. Frédéric Constant, again, also very good price.
Yeah,
I like it. I'm happy to see some pleasantly priced watches as well. And plus, Tudor also kept prices pretty moderate.
Relatively okay. I remember when I bought my first Black Bay that it was like 3 and a bit, 3,300. At that point, and I believe now with the Metas, there's not that big of an increase, by the way, now that they have the Metas on board. The new one is slightly above 4, but we're talking about 10 years difference. Mine was from 2013 or 14, and we're now in 2024, so it's, I'd say, okay, it's 25% if you put it like that, but over 10 years, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I think it's not too crazy with inflation.
No, but in past editions, we've seen brands bringing out watches that are basically a redial of the one the year before, and the price has gone up like 4,000 euros for no reason. It's technically the same watch, just a new dial color, up 4,000. That is what gets me, well, frustrated. Let's keep it friendly.
But it's also the thing, you know, for us doing what we do on a daily basis, we love watches. We are collectors ourselves, passionate. So, we also look at these watches as potential clients, and that's why sometimes, there's a bit of frustration about some things that are happening in the watch industry.
Very much. Yeah. Something that we've now already touched upon, you've mentioned it, in terms of case size. That's one big trend that's still gaining traction more and more, with more brands. I mean, like Doxa, the iconic sub 300 now is sized down to the 200 size, which is good.
Super.
Yeah, plus a new color.
The green one looks very good. Yes,
sea emerald green, nice. So their size is a big trend, colors as well. Anything else that we could spot?
So in terms of trends, indeed, colors. Definitely there were some quite some bright colors, and I think Nomos exaggerated a little bit.
Well, I wouldn't want to call it exaggerated, but they decided for their first attendance as a brand as Watches and Wonders. They're officially part of it now, which I like because I love the brand.
Exactly. Yeah.
They decided to take the iconic Tangente 38 date, the very minimalistic Bauhaus-inspired watch,
beautiful,
which was part of the initial collection they launched in '94, if I'm correct. They decided to have fun with it and celebrate diversity and individuality, as they say it, by presenting it in 31 different colorways, from very muted beige gray tones to very bright pink and yellows, and everything in between. And it was fun to just see the whole spectrum at Watches and Wonders and get a sense of what could be done with such a muted, understated, classic design if you let go of boundaries in terms of color. I thought it was quite fun. But I must admit, I'm sure there are models that are not for everyone and that will move a bit faster than others, but that is what it is.
It is what it is, but colors will definitely trend in
many brands experimenting with different colors, textures to highlight colors or combinations.
Grand Seiko with some pretty out there colors.
Yeah, they're known for that, they're good at it, so
definitely
it's understandable that they continue with it.
Other trends that you...
A final thing maybe, which is a bit difficult to pinpoint perhaps, is mechanical craftsmanship. If you look at what's being done in terms of mechanical watchmaking, like true mechanical watchmaking, there's revolutionary ideas such as the Piaget and the Bulgari. There's also just bonkersly complex watches such as the Berkeley, and that couldn't have been done 20 years ago. In that perspective, we are still seeing boundaries being pushed, which is what the industry was all about since centuries.
Something that we both love very much.
Oh yes, very much.
So in that respect, I think that would be our recap of Watches and Wonders 2024. Thank you, Robin, and hope you enjoyed watching it, and catch you for the next video.